You are standing in the middle of a thick, humid jungle in Southeast Asia. The air is heavy, and every rustle in the leaves makes your heart skip a beat. You are watching your step, carefully scanning the tall grass because you know snakes are everywhere. But you are looking in the wrong place. High above you, in the canopy of a massive tree, a 5-foot-long serpent is preparing to do something that defies everything you know about biology. It doesn't have wings. It doesn't have feathers. It shouldn't be able to stay in the air for more than a second, but then it launches. This is the paradise tree snake, and it is the first nightmare on our list of animals that can fly but really shouldn't. As it leaves the branch, it doesn't just fall like a rock. It sucks in its stomach and flares its ribs outward, turning its entire body into a flat concave wing. It looks like a ribbon dancing in the wind, but this is a controlled flight. It slithers through the air, moving its body in a wide SC shape to stay stable. It can glide for 30, 40, even 50 feet, steering itself with incredible precision. If you were standing in its path, you wouldn't hear it coming until it landed right on your shoulder. The physics of it seem impossible, but for this snake, the sky is just another highway. But the jungle isn't the only place where the laws of gravity seem to be more like suggestions. Imagine you are on a boat in the middle of the Pacific Ocean at night. The water is pitch black, and the only sound is the engine humming. Suddenly, dozens of silver streaks burst out of the waves. They aren't fish, they are neon flying squids. These are soft-bodied mollusks that usually live hundreds of feet below the surface. But when a predator starts chasing them, they don't just swim faster, they turn themselves into living rockets. The squid sucks in a massive amount of water and then blasts it out through a small tube in its body, using high-pressure jet propulsion to launch itself 40 feet into the air. Once it is airborne, it spreads its fins and its tentacles, creating a surface that catches the wind. They can fly at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour, covering the length of a football field in just a few seconds. Seeing a school of glowing, jet-powered squids soaring over the waves in the moonlight is like watching an alien invasion. It is beautiful, but it is also deeply unsettling. Nature took a creature meant for the deep, dark sea and gave it the power of flight. Back on land, in the tropical forests of the Philippines, there is a tiny creature that looks like it crawled straight out of a fantasy novel. It is the Draco lizard, also known as the flying dragon. Most lizards spend their lives scurrying along the ground or clinging to tree trunks, but the Draco lizard decided that was too slow. Instead of developing skin flaps between its legs like a squirrel, this lizard did something much more extreme. It uses its own ribs to fly. When it wants to move from one tree to another, it extends its long, movable ribs outward. These ribs are covered in a thin, brightly colored membrane of skin. In an instant, the lizard has a pair of wings that look like they belong on a butterfly. It leaps into the void and glides with total confidence. It can even perform sharp turns in midair to avoid branches or catch an insect. When it lands, the wings fold back against its sides, vanishing instantly. It goes back to looking like a normal, boring lizard, hiding the fact that it just conquered the sky using its own skeleton as a glider. If you think a flying lizard is strange, wait until you meet the Wallace's flying frog. Frogs are supposed to be heavy, wet, and clumsy on land. They are built for hopping and swimming, not for soaring through the clouds. But this particular frog has massive, oversized feet with thick webbing between every toe. When it senses danger, it doesn't hide in a hole. It takes a leap of faith from the highest branches. As it falls, it spreads its 4 huge feet as wide as possible. The webbing acts like 4 individual parachutes, catching the air and slowing its descent. It looks like a green, bulging kite as it drifts through the mist of the rainforest. It can glide for over 50 feet, landing softly on a leaf or a branch far away from whatever was trying to eat it. There is something fundamentally wrong about seeing a frog hovering over your head, its big golden eyes staring down at you as it sails through the canopy. But in the world of survival, it's a brilliant strategy. But perhaps the most ghostly flyer of all is the colugo, often called the flying lemur. The name is a bit of a lie because it isn't a lemur, and it doesn't technically fly, it glides. But calling it a glider doesn't do it justice. The colugo is covered in a massive cloak of skin that stretches from its neck all the way to the tips of its fingers, its toes, and even its tail. When it spreads its limbs, it looks like a living carpet. It is the most efficient glider of any mammal on Earth. It can travel over 400 feet in a single jump, losing very little height as it goes. They are so well adapted to the air that they are almost helpless on the ground. A colugo will spend its entire life in the trees, even carrying its babies tucked inside its skin cloak while it glides through the night forest like a silent shadow. If you saw one silhouetted against the moon, you might think you were seeing a ghost or a prehistoric bird, but it's just a mammal that refused to be grounded. Finally, we go back to the ocean for the heaviest, most spectacular flyer of them all, the mobula ray. These are massive creatures, often weighing over a ton, with wings that can span 15 feet across. They are basically giant underwater pancakes made of muscle. Usually they glide gracefully through the water, but sometimes, for reasons scientists still don't fully understand, they decide to break the surface. A mobula ray will swim toward the surface at high speed and launch its massive body completely out of the water. For a few brief seconds, this 3,000-pound beast is airborne. It flaps its huge pectoral fins like a bird, trying to stay up just a little bit longer before it comes crashing back down with a sound like a gunshot. Sometimes hundreds of them do this at once, a literal rain of giant rays falling from the sky. It is a violent, chaotic, and breathtaking display of power. Nature is full of rules, but as these 6 animals prove, those rules are meant to be broken. The sky isn't just for the birds and the bats. It is a playground for the strange, the slimy, and the unexpected. We like to think we understand how the world works, but then a snake glides over our heads, or a ton of fish falls from the clouds, and we realize that we are just guests in a world that is far more mysterious than we can imagine.